Hi, this is Judge Scott Kurth. I'm trying a new format in our case briefs that I send out regularly, and I would appreciate any constructive feedback that you have, one way or the other, good or bad. I'd like to hear it. Today we're going to talk about the Court of Appeals out of the 8th District in El Paso in the case of Curtis Wayne Robertson versus the state of Texas. This opinion was issued on June 12, 2019. Here the question was whether a Border Patrol agent had the authority to arrest a defendant for violation of state law. In this case, the defendant was apparently a rancher in Crockett County who actually was driving down the road, saw the Border Patrol agent who was involved in interdicting illegal aliens crossing into the country, and he wanted to talk to the Border Patrol agent, so he pulled over. The Border Patrol agent pulled over. They began a communication. At some point, the defendant got out of his truck and voluntarily got out of his truck and walked over to the Border Patrol agent's car. The Border Patrol agent saw that he was stumbling visibly and had to lean against his car to maintain himself standing. The Border Patrol agent asked him if he had been drinking. The defendant readily admitted that he had been drinking because the Border Patrol agent was fearful to allow this man to get back on the road in an inebriated state, detained him and put him in the back of his patrol car and called for DPS backup. At some point, the defendant asked to leave. The DPS trooper told him the Border Patrol agent told him he couldn't leave and held him until the trooper arrived. When the trooper arrived, he or she received the report from the Border Patrol agent as to what he had observed and what had taken place, noticed a strong odor of alcohol emanating from the person of the defendant. The defendant refused to cooperate with standard field test measures or to give a blood draw, so a warrant was obtained. The defendant was ultimately found from the blood test results to be significantly over the legal limit and was indicted for a felony DWI. The defendant sought to suppress the blood search because he claimed that the Border Patrol agent lacked authority to seize and arrest a person for a state law violation. In this case, the Court of Appeals ruled that the Border Patrol agent did not have the authority to enforce Texas state law. However, under Article 1401A of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, a person may, without a warrant, arrest an individual when that individual commits a felony or breach of the peace within the presence or view of the arresting person, in this case, the Border Patrol agent. However, that citizen's arrest must be supported by probable cause in order to justify the arrest or the detention. Here, based upon the defendant's obvious signs of intoxication and his own admission that he had been drinking alcohol, the Border Patrol agent had probable cause to believe that the crime of driving while intoxicated was being committed and a breach of the peace had occurred, and therefore he could make a lawful citizen's arrest under Article 1401A. In passing, it's important to note that in 1979, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in Romo versus State ruled that a DWI is, in fact, a breach of the peace that authorizes a citizen's arrest. A couple of key points here. Number one, it's important to note that the defendant himself initiated the contact. The Border Patrol agent didn't pull him over, didn't initiate any contact. That was done by the defendant. Second, the defendant openly admitted to drinking alcohol. Number three, the Border Patrol agent never said in this case that he was acting in his capacity as a Border Patrol agent, but rather he was acting to prevent the defendant from getting back on the road because he feared, because he was intoxicated, he'd cause an unsafe condition on the roadway. The fact that the Border Patrol agent was in uniform and in the performance, normally in the performance of his federal duties, did not prevent him from effecting a citizen's arrest under Article 1401A of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. I hope that helps. I'd look forward to hearing anything you have to say. Thanks. Have a great day.